My name is Arantxa Naidoo, and I've got my colleague with me today, Dakalo, and we will be going over how our exploration software Discover, specifically in this webinar, Discover Map Info, is basically streamlining, your exploration data so that you can do your analyses and create your basically create your layouts and basically get your data ready for any JORC report that you as a JORC qualified person would be writing. All right, so just getting into it. So as I mentioned, today we'll be focusing on exploration. So Datamine has basically software that falls within the entire mining value chain. As you can see here, we're in the exploration phase this week, and Discover falls within this suite of software. So as I mentioned, specifically today, we'll be going over our Discover for ArcGIS Pro plugin. Basically, what the software is we know we have a lot of Esri users, and they're more comfortable in Esri software like Discover for ArcGIS Pro. And what we have is basically a plugin that plugs into the Esri software ArcGIS Pro. And what this does is it gives you access to these 7 tabs. So you basically have the Discover ribbon, which helps you basically with your interoperability with other mining packages, as well as getting in your data, your Drillhole data, georeferencing your images, etc. So it basically opens up a whole new load of tools for you in Esri. Again, you've got your Drillhole tab, Legend tab, section, modeling, raster, and mobile. These are all included in the plugin. You don't have to pay extra for any one of these. And what's great is when you get the Discover for ArcGIS Pro plugin, it gives you access to the Esri 3D environment without having the need to have a professional ArcGIS Pro license. So today we're going to be focusing on the Drillhole projects. Specifically, I'll just be talking you through the Drillhole project, and my colleague Dakalo will be doing the live demo, just showing you how once you've set up the Drillhole project, what it looks like, and then what you can do with it from then, basically create your vertical sections, create your layouts, modeling, etc. We won't go into modeling today, but obviously if any of you would like to see a more detailed demonstration, you're more than welcome to contact us after this demo. So basically we'll be doing vertical sections in the live demo. So I'm just going to explain to you what you'd need to create a Drillhole project in Discover. So you can create Drillhole projects from normal tables, Excel, CSV, geodatabases. You can also connect to Access databases, acquire, Fusion, bring in your Datamine files, connect to ODBCs, GINT, and if you have any Discover for ArcGIS Pro drilling projects you're sharing amongst your colleagues, they can import that as well as Discover Map Info. So when you're creating your Drillhole project, a lot of these tables come out of the exploration drilling programs, and this is what you would need to create the actual project. Obviously, you would need your collar table, your survey table, and any downhole data tables that the project would require. So being your assays, your lithologies, your structural data, etc. So your collar table, basically some of the mandatory fields that you would need is your hole ID, your easting and your northing, so your GPS coordinates, your elevation, total depth, and your azimuth and dip are optional in your collar table if you have a survey table. If you don't have a survey table, you will need to have the azimuth and dip in the collar table. For your survey table, again, it's going to be hole ID, depth, azimuth, and dip. Your downhole tables, hole ID, depth from to azimuth and dip. So just bearing in mind when you're doing your structural data, so if you're bringing in structural tables, you'll bring this in a very specific way. It gets brought in as a point table. But again, if you want to see this in more detail, you can let us know for a specific demo. Also going through this, the big thing, especially with like JORC requirements, is being consistent. So we try to do this as well in this stage. So you should be consistent with your hole IDs so that the software can match up. Like, if you're going to say hole ID, call it hole ID, full hole IDs, and always make sure that you are using the correct projection when dealing with your GPS coordinates, X, Y, easting, northing, longitude, latitude, etc. So some of the other tools we'll be showing you today is our legend tools. So we have a very extensive range of legend tools within the software. where you can create legends from data, from structures, from scratch. If you don't have any specific data, you've got a lot of different styles that you can apply to the legend. And what's really great is, again, to just streamline that process and just get that consistency throughout the whole project. We'll also introduce what we call a section template that Dakalo will show you. Basically, what this does is once you've created your legend, you create the section template, and this can be used for your digitizing. So when you're digitizing on your section, and then you can take this into 3D and use it for your modeling. And again, it's going to keep that consistency. It will keep the naming convention, and it will keep the styles that you assigned as well. So this is just an example of the type of sections that you can create in the software. So this is a annotated vertical section, and on this section you can see we've basically done our annotations, we've added in our scale bar, and what you're seeing here is a slice through a wireframe. So you can actually slice through wireframes and block models and actually add them in on your vertical sections as a multi-patch club. Again, this is just another example of a vertical section that you can use for your reports. You can see here what we've got on the top is basically a plan view of where we took our section. The bottom bit over here is the vertical view, and you can see you can add your logo, you can add your scale bar, date, any instructions, who was the basically creator of this, etc. You can also do your strip logs. So if you want to add strip logs again for your report, you can create strip logs of your drill holes as well, and you can add in your assays, etc. So just again going, as I mentioned before about the section template, why it's really nice is because when you digitize using the section template, the software knows to basically connect the corresponding polygons when you have multiple sections, and you can use tie lines to basically manipulate the shape of the wireframes as needed, because obviously the software will try and connect it the best way it sees fit. It's not a geologist. So you can obviously add in tie lines to, for the further manipulate the shape as required. So that is me for the presentation bit of this webinar. I'm going to hand over to my colleague Dakalo, and she will basically be taking you through the live demo, showing you about the basically the vertical sections, downhole data, etc. So I'm going to stop sharing for now, and Dakalo, you can take it from here.
Thank you, Aaron, and hi everyone. Thank you for joining. I'm just gonna quickly share my screen so that you can see Discover ArcGIS Pro. So for the users, Aaron, can you just confirm if you can see my screen?
Yes, I can see your screen. Thanks, Dakalo.
Okay. So for the Discover ArcGIS Pro users, the interface is nothing new. You have your Esri base where you have your project map inserts and all those ribbons where you can do your GIS analysis. But the Discover plugin, like Aaron said, starts from here in the Discover ribbon. And today we will just be making use of the first 4 ribbons. So we'll use the Discover, Drillhole, Legend, and Section. Just to make this a little bit quicker, since we do not have much time, we are going to go through a 4-step workflow. So we will just create a legend, then we will create a section, and then from that section, we will use that section to digitize our ore body. So I already have an already set up project. I already have my drill holes that I created from CSV files. I already validated the project prior to this so that we do not take too much time. But if you wanted to see how you can import from CSVs or databases, we do that. We cover that during training. So the point of public reporting or governmental reporting is so that we can have honest, reliable, and consistent and transparent data set that we are sharing with stakeholders. And how you can use this tool to achieve that is part of the report, like Arantxa showed you, is to create high resolution templates, right? Sections. So if you wanted to show what's happening between Drillhole A through Drillhole Z, you would like to take some sections, digitize along those, show some lithology. You'd like to see going on the depth, how the grade for each element is behaving, and you'd like to see that correlated with lithologies. So we're just going to take that concept and then create a section, and then in the end, we will digitize through that section so that we can now put this into a nice PDF report or a nice image to insert into the report. So to begin with, we will start by creating a legend from a map layer. So when I imported my drill holes, this is my drilling project. When I imported my drill holes, there's your colors, there's your downhole, there's your surveys, and then there's the surfaces. So I put in my topography and I put in my subterranean surfaces in there. And what I would like to do is I would like to create a legend based on the surfaces. So to put the dialog on, you just right click on the map layer that you're trying to create a legend on, and then you will have activated the dialog for you to start creating a legend. So what we're going to do here, we're going to import a Symbology layer that I've already created prior to this. I can always show you how to do it through a demo or through training. So I'm just going to quickly import that so that we can quickly create a legend for the surfaces of ours. So we're going to do it for the draping. And then here, I'm going to navigate while ArcGIS Pro is thinking for the moment. I am going to, as you can see, I've already created way too many templates in here. I'll use that. I'll go through to my Symbology folder. And the other good thing about using, I'm just going to run that while I explain. Another good thing about using ArcGIS Pro is this great function where you can link in a folder so that you don't have to look in multiple directions just to get your data. So if you have your data centralized in a folder, you can add it as a connection, and then you can just be using that particular folder the entire time. So this is all about centralizing your data set, and when you're creating all those packages, they are within one folder, which is easier to track and easier to handle if you're working with multiple projects at the same time. So now that we have created that, we'll just go to legends, and then we're just going to take that, we're going to create a legend from that Symbology layer that I just imported. And how we would do that is we will use the layer to legend tool, that function, and then we would have to tell it which feature class or which feature layer do we want to create that for. As you saw, I was doing it for the surface drape. And then I'm going to use Symbology used by layer because I've already imported that. And you just have to give it a name for the reporting and for handling your project seamlessly. Please try by all means to use consistent names for your legends so that you don't overlap. But the good thing about this is if I create this one, I'll just call it surface. Surface legend map layer, right? And then I'm going to use that file that I imported so that it takes all those labels and use them as values. And then I'm going to run that. Should take about a second, and then it's done. Now, where do I go to see my legend that I've created? This is where you will see all your legends. So this is your manager. If you drop down here, you will see it will create it as a local legend for you. If you wanted to create it as a project legend or a global legend that you can share amongst colleagues, so if it's project specific, you will create it as a project. But then the one that we just created now will be this one. And then you can see it took everything that was in my Symbology layer and then it created a legend out of it. I can still go on and further change it if I don't like it. I can put in my symbols if there's a consistent style that has been established for your project. Say your granites are supposed to have crosses all around them, and all your danites are supposed to have dots all around them. You can put in all those things, and you can also change your line styles. So this is how we can create legends. We can create numeric and text. You can create them from data, the pre-existing data that's in your Drillhole project, or you can create them from scratch. So this is where you'll be doing all those, and then you can see all the different types of legends that you can create. You can create your structural legends, you can create domain legends, you can merge legends to create a domain from certain values. So yeah, we have that legend created. So this just makes sure that you are consistent with your data set, right? So if you come to the Drillhole and you want to append your data, you are adding more data, or you're putting more Drillhole data to the existing project, you want those to follow the consistent styling, the consistent symbiology, the right sizing. So that's what the legend does, helping you with that consistency in your reporting, so that every time you're dealing with the data in the same area, you use the same legend. But we can go a little bit step further from that and create a template of which you can apply to any other thing that you'll be doing to your Drillhole file. But for now, once you have all this data colored how you wanted, you put in the right symbols that you like, whether you like your colors as stars or as circles, you can now create sections, right? So in exploration, we'll deal mostly with sections. We're trying to look at the ore body at different angles. We're looking at it at different views. We're trying to see what's happening between the data set that we have, especially if we have sparse data set. And this draping makes it easy for you to see elevation changes and lithology changes. So what you will do is you will come to section, and then you will generate a section. So how you can generate a section in Discover, you can choose to select pre-existing lines you would have defined for your project, or you can create ones from scratch. But what we will do here is to create one from scratch. So you can choose to have an envelope section, which means that if you choose the width of your section and say, I want to look 50 meters that way and 50 meters that way away from my section line, or I want to create a 20 by 20 section, you can create that as well. So if I can just show you what I mean, I'll choose one that's cross-cutting to lithologies. I'll just take it a little bit from there, and then I'll end it somewhere there. And then my envelope is 50. So that means from this center line is 50 that way, and then it's 50 that way. So what it does for you, it will calculate how long your section is. It will show you the orientation. You can change your viewing direction. And then from there, it will also show you what's informing the section that you're going to create. So the drill holes that are there, you have the option to select all or select none, but you'd like to select some, right? Because you want to see what's happening between those drill holes. So you don't want to set them all at the same time. With the use of a control and a shift, you can select the ones that you want to use for this particular drill hole. And the other thing that you can do is within that envelope that you've created, you can choose to see the complete hole traces. So you'll call out your end hole within the envelope. So that will be hole traces in envelope, or you can choose to see the entire hole, even outside that envelope. So you do have the options to do that between these two options. And then the rest you guys already know. And then while naming your sections for reporting purposes, it's advised that you do use consistent naming conventions. Say your naming convention is the area, the area that you're working in, the sub area that you're working in, and a particular name of the project. Just make sure all your sections are consistent. You can do one line, or you can do a polyline as well if you're trying to create a section along a road. And other notable mentions here will be your multiple sections. You don't have to create one at a time. We know you're trying to be effective on the field, so you can create multiple sections. You just have to tell it how many sections you want to create, and from the initial distance that you've put in your section line, how much of a distance do you want to offset those by. And then with regards to the consistency in reporting, you can use either a suffix or a prefix to the names of your sections. And on the annotation side, you can annotate your colors. You can annotate your end of all if you wanted to see where the like if you wanted to see those HEC 30 while in section, and then where that hole ended, you can put in end of all. You can put in your intersections, and then you can also put in the sizing yourself, right? And then on the surface side, you don't have to like only look at your drill holes in section. You can look at them simultaneously with your topography and any subterranean contact surface that you might have. For the purpose of this demo, we're going to just put our topo to become green. I like green. So I'll just put it for 2 so that it's easy to see. And then we just have to make sure we show that that draping, and then that legend that we created earlier on. Let me see. What did I call it now? There you go. And then you can see these 2 surfaces have the same color, would like to have a distinctive feature to them. So I'll just change one to a different color. I can change the line style if I want, but for consistency, I'll put this at 2 as well, just so that we can view it much nicely. And yeah, with this, you can also offset your context, and you can choose to not see them if you just only want to see your drill hole traces alone in section. And then with that, your section will be ready. I'll just rename that and say live demo. And then I will just apply that. And then it's going to create a section for me. It's probably going to take like 30 seconds to a minute. Sorry, it says here is my section. So if you can just excuse me, I think my machine says it's going to power off. Okay. Now you see that section fully there, but then we can't report on this, right? It's not showing much on what we're doing. It's just showing our holes, it's showing our intervals and our traces. There is that subterranean surfaces that we had there. And you can just see now the full depth that the surface dripping would give you. And then from here, it will, we would like to now just apply some downhole data to it so that we can see what the traces, how are they behaving downhole. We just want to see either lithology, or we just want to see the assays, different type of assays that are within the drill holes. So we just want to visualize it better, because sharing this is just not nice. We can make this even more robust. We can make it report ready. And how we would go about it is, we already have the section on. We'll just go downhole data to it. So we can just begin by adding a downhole shade to it. Let's just add a lip one. And then we'll add our oxidation state using that field. And I've already created a legend for it, but then you're not limited to creating one, selecting one. You can create one on the fly to bring you back to that, to bring you back to the dialogue, and you can create one. And how you would create one, you'll just choose that and you say, I want to create it from this particular table. I want to create it for this particular field. And then it will tell you, you have 3 rows that are in there, and then you can continue working with that. But I've already created mine beforehand. I will just use my oxidation legend, and then I will apply that. And then I'm going to choose which section I would like to apply that to. I can choose to apply to every map window that I have open there, but I'm just going to apply it to this one. And if you're on the pedantic side, you don't like seeing any of those, you just want to work with your bands, you can always switch them off. That's just a native functionality. And now that you're looking at your data set, you're now looking at your downhole, you're looking at your downhole lithology. You can also look at, you can also add this for your assays. Say you wanted to see how is gold behaving with certain depth, and you want to view it consistently with the lithology, you can add that as well. So you just have to choose the element that you are interested in. And when you're choosing that element, we have a filtering tool there. So you don't want anything that's below detection. You can just take them out there. And then you can also choose a legend for your gold. And if you can't choose one, you can just come here and then you can create one. This time you'll have to create a numeric one because you'll have to use the ranges, right? And then from there, you can choose which side you want to put this on. I'll just choose the right for now. I'll offset it for the clear, crisp visual because I don't want things that are overlapping. So I'll offset it so that it looks just a little bit nice. And then I'll apply it to my template, to my section, and then that's how it will look like. So the value in this is that you are now able to see lithology versus your gold, and you're going to see your gold grades as the hole gets deeper. So with you're having that depth consciousness to your data. You're now able to view the assay, and you don't actually have to view only one. You can view multiple assays at the same time. So you're working with a deposit and you're trying to look for relationship between either I don't know, copper and gold or zinc and lead, and you're trying to see all those two within the succession of lithology. You can just add those. And I'll just add a zinc one. I'll add a line style for that. We'll remove anything that's below. And then I'll just put 5 centimeter on that one. And then I'd like this to look, which color won't be overpowering here. I can choose that color. And then I'll make it face the other way, just for that neatness of looking at the data set. And then I'll offset it in the opposite direction by 5 as well. And then I will apply it. So now you can see your line graph and your bar graph together with your lithology. You can now start seeing where you have your greatest kings in your grade. You can make this even more nicer if you, for reporting purposes, you would choose the right width that are informed by your bioassays. This is just for demo purposes, but then you can already make this much more nicer, more crispier. You can make all the lithology transparent so that you can actually see more. If you have symbols, you can already add the symbols to your lithology downhole data. And the other thing is, once you set it up for one section, this is where a template comes in. So a downhole template, you are now able to save all this. So say you're going to consistently make these sections for gold and zinc, you can now create a section that every time you load them, so after I create this section, if I go create another one back in my drilling project, I can now pick up a template. So it's just as easy as giving it a name. And then you just say, okay, and that's it. But if you wanted to take out, say you only wanted the one for the graphing, how you've set up your bar graph and your line graph, and you put in your text as well, and you've put in extra details into your display, you can only save that as its own template, and you can also save your lithology driven templates on a separate template as well. So that's for your downhole. That's for your downhole data, so for viewing purposes. And the other good thing about this is once you have that running and you want to see what this looks like now back in 2D, back in your drilling project where everything is sitting. So if you wanted to see all that information that you've put into your live demo, so if you put all this thing, you formatted it the way you wanted, but now you want to see every single drill hole trace in here with this formatting, you can just go click there and you can apply. And once you're done applying, this is gonna take a moment. And once you come back here, you'll be able to now see it exactly like how you'll be seeing it in section for the rest of the project. Now, when you're in section and you now want to digitize, you would like to create a template. We've already created a template that we can use for digitizing. But before we go there, say you're curious what my drill hole look like in 3D. Now I'm just seeing them as a section. I would like to see what this looks like in 3D. What you can do is you can just come to drill hole and you can say display drill hole in 3D, and then you can choose which drill hole in 3D you want to display, or you can choose the entire drill hole campaign in there. And then you can, I already have two more. So I'll just create a new scene, and then I'll collect them. And then with that, you can use our coordinate systems, our special reference system, so that the drill hole project is sitting exactly where it's supposed to sit. This you would have already predefined, of course, when you are importing your drill hole project. So you will just use the library that we have for the projected systems and all the native WGS ones. But then it remembers which one it is once you've set it up for import, and then you can just say apply, and then it will send your data to 3D. Now, while it's doing that, I can already show you the ones that we had set up. So I set two up to show you. Let's just give it a moment to think. Yeah. So I set one up and I've already applied the downhole data and the sections, the downhole templates that I wanted, that I've created with you now. And you can already see your drill holes in 3D. You are seeing them with you're seeing the legend, the lithology legend. So that's what you're seeing there. And then you can also create them with any other field within your drill holes that you'd like to visualize your data in. So you'll be here, you're visualizing them using the field oxidation. So you're looking at them, you're looking at your oxidation field. Yeah, and you can just have a look at what your data looks like in 3D. You don't have to hop between softwares just to see this, which makes it easier to work with with one project. So you can visualize it both in 2D and 3D. Now, if you can just go back to, yeah, the last thing I would like, well, second last, that I'd like to show would be, so say you are in section and you just want to digitize particular layers in here, and you want to now show that, because we can even go straight beyond, but that we won't cover here, where you can create those polygons, put in some, do some modeling, put in some block models, and then you view it all together, and you can clip it as a web share and share it with other stakeholders. They don't need a license for that because it creates a little website for them to go see. So you say you wanted to now digitize particular layers within your section, and then take that out as polygons or take that out as solids using this module here. But we won't go into that. So you're in section, and I just quickly want to create a digitizing section. So this is a section template. The one I was talking about was a downhole template. So with this one, you would choose a legend that you would like to use while digitizing your data. So we want to digitize the oxidation layers. So we will use the oxidation legend. We will give it a name, just be consistent. So if I'm preaching my own gospel, let me go demo live. Just put some consistency in there. And if you like some pet names and all that, you can put in aliases for you to remember, if that's easier to remember. And then you can just run that. And with this, you would have created a template that you can use to digitize. Now, for JOC reporting or any other public reporting, you have to show the actual reality of what's happening to the section. So it can't just be an arbitrary effort where you just zoom in and you just, start digitizing haphazardly. You would have to use all the native tools that ArcGIS Pro actually offers. And then you will use your snapping settings, you would use your gridding, just so that you're able to snap into the bottom contacts if you're following it correctly. I'll just show you now. So say I'm going to create that. Let me just minimize all of this. I'll minimize that. I'll minimize that. Now I'm going to use live demo. My lithology template. So I have fresh, oxidized, and transitional. So what I would like to do is to just digitize the oxidized. So this saves you time that you don't have to create polygons for each layer, and then you have to come and then tell it what it was, give it all the symbology. If you already created a template, this is just a simple template. It can be as complex as you want. Once you have that running, you can just, because I'm running out of time, I can just start it from there. And then you wouldn't do this. You would zoom in to each particular layer and you will be snapping to the bottom contacts of all of these layers. And then especially when you come next to the topography, you'd want it to follow that that orientation. Just put it somewhere. And then I'll finish that, and then it will have created a polygon for me. And then I can come to my fresh. And then, mind you, you would have to do this very, very neatly, making sure you're getting all the right context, making sure you're going. It must be a realistic digitization. Of course, you already know that, but I'm just showing you that the tool is able to do that for you. And then you can mimic the bottom contact of the other one, just so that you don't have gaps, but the digitizing tools are there to assist you. When we're done, we can just finish. And if this was if we had more time for me to go each and every layer, show you all that interlayering that you're seeing there, we would be able to do that. But then you can see how it is done. And once you have this done, you've digitized, you can clip, you can add in your block model to just give it more context to it. You can even go as far as adding sky things if you wanted. And then just lastly, to just end it off, once you have the section, it's looking all nice. Here, you can just come back to section and come to section layout. And let's see if it's thinking. And then there you go. Then you can choose in the page size that you want to print all your layouts in. You can do this as a PDF, or you can do this as an image. No, as a PDF, of course. Then you're going to choose, I like A4, but just to show you, I'm going to use everything default, but then you can choose in all your margins. You can scale it how you want. Do you want it as a portrait or landscape? You can change, you can even manipulate your grading styles. If you already set up a layout that you like, you can use that as well. So for here, we can just do apply, and then what it will look like. This is all with the default, what it will look like. Oh, it will prompt this layout view for you, and you can now use all of these tools to make sure that it speaks directly to your reporting needs. So if you had to put a scale, the direction at which you're looking at this, since this is section, if you had to put the company logo and all that, you can do this.